Alright, hey guys, it's Asha. Welcome back to Reading with Toby. Today I have an exciting video for you guys. I'm finally doing some kind of wrap up of 2019, letting you guys know my favorites, my least favorites, all that fun stuff. I asked on my Instagram, which is always linked down below if you guys want to go and follow me. It's just at Reading with Toby. But I asked you guys if it was too late for me to film a video like this, and most of you guys, actually I think everyone said no, go ahead and film it. So yeah, I thought I would just do the 2019 reading survey kind of tag video, so that way we can just get through a bunch of different questions. You guys can kind of see what I thought about the different books I read this past year, and that way I don't have to make like multiple videos since it's kind of late into the year. Yeah, because I had no time to do anything in January. I definitely wanted to let you guys know what my favorite books were, least favorite books, and all that fun stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the very first question is how many books, sorry, if I'm looking down, I have my little like planner here of all the questions. Oh, and I got these set of questions from Books and Lala's 2019 reading survey. I'll link that down below. She added a couple questions to her video, so I watched it and then wrote them down. This may not be all the original questions. I don't really know who did the original video, but if you know, you can let me know. But I'll definitely link Kayla's video. Yeah, that's where I got all these questions from. So let's get started now. Okay, so the very first question was how many books did I read this year? And the answer is 15, which may not sound like a lot, but to me, I think that's pretty good. I didn't really have time to read in 2019 until September, because the first half of the year I was still in my second year of medical school and it's extremely busy. Absolutely no time to read. Then during the summer, you're studying for boards. I still didn't have time to read. I like used reading as my break from studying like 10 hours a day. So I read a little bit over the summer. August, I took my boards, and then September, I finally was free and able to read. So that's when I did most of my reading towards the end of the year. So I think 15 books is pretty good. I'm happy with it. Since I read so few books, I thought I would quickly run through all of the books that I read also in this video so you guys can see, because I think there are a couple that I didn't really talk about. I don't know, I just thought it'd be fun for you guys to get an idea of all the books that I read, so that when I answer all these questions, you can see kind of what books I'm choosing from. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly. And if you want to see the ratings of these books, because I'm not going to mention the ratings, I don't think, you can check out my Goodreads. I'll link that below as well. These are all the books that I read this year in the order that I read them. Okay, so first we have Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. We have The Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. Bunny by Mona Awad. Then I read The Institute by Stephen King. Next is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I don't know how you say his last name. Then Every Had a Doorway by Seanan Mcguire. Daisy Jones and the Six, again by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love this cover. Nine Perfect Strangers by Leigh Moriarty. And I reread Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Then I read a nonfiction, a memoir, in the Dreamhouse by Carmen Maria Machado. And the last book I read of 2019 was The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker. So those are all the books that I read. And the second question is, what is my most read genre? So I went through these books, and actually the most read genre is some kind of fantasy, urban fantasy, high fantasy, light fantasy, however you want to think about it. But surprisingly, that was my most read genre. I thought it was going to be contemporary, but it wasn't. So the next question is my favorite book of the year. Okay, so this one is a little bit hard to pick because I think I have two, and I'm gonna just say both because one is the only nonfiction that I read this year, In the Dreamhouse by Carmen Maria Machado. I absolutely love this book. You can see I tabbed it all up. I talked about this book a lot on my channel, but this is a memoir following Carmen's experience being in a same-sex abusive relationship. And I just thought it was amazing. She kind of tells the story in these little vignettes. Like here it says, Dreamhouse as Lost in Translation, Dreamhouse as The River Leaf, is that how you say it? Dreamhouse as First Thanksgiving, Dreamhouse as Man versus Self. And it's just like heartbreaking. It was amazing. Her writing is incredible, but she also gives these little vignettes about the story, not the story, what I'm talking about, like the history of I don't know if the history is the right word, but kind of how lesbian relationships are viewed in the media, how queer relationships are viewed, and just, I don't know, I just thought it was a perfect book. Honestly, it was just perfect. I love it. I definitely recommend it. But then my other favorite book this year was definitely Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I just freaking love this book. I always think about, whenever I think about what's my favorite book, this is the first one that comes to mind. I freaking loved it. I think I only gave it 4.5 stars, but I think I'm gonna go back and change it to 5 stars because I don't know why I gave it 4.5. I love this book. Yeah, I do wonder if I loved it so much because I already watched the entire series. So I was already in love with all the characters, in love with the world, in love with the story. So, you know, just reading it, I already kind of knew, you know, I already knew what was going on. So I don't think I would love it as much if I watched the show, if I didn't watch the show, because it is kind of hard to figure out what's going on and who's connected to who. And I feel like I would get lost with all the families and stuff, but you know what? It doesn't matter because I freaking love this book and I can't wait to read the second one. This is the book that I read during the summer. So I think I'm gonna read the second one this summer as well. I loved it. Okay, so the next question is my least favorite book of the year. And, ooh, that one's kind of hard. My least favorite. I actually kind of liked all the books that I read, but if I had to pick one, I think it would be Daisy Jones and the Six. And I didn't even like dislike it that much. I just gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, but maybe, I don't know. There isn't one book where I'm just like, yeah, this book, I definitely hate it. But this is probably maybe my least favorite book that I read. So, yeah. And then, but that also kind of goes along with the next one, which is your most disappointing read of the year. And that one is definitely Daisy Jones and the Six. I was super excited about this book. I love The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I was expecting to absolutely love this book, and I did not. Like I said, I just did not connect with Daisy Jones. I'm sure most of you guys know what this is about, but I did not connect with Daisy Jones, and I also just didn't like her, like, at all. I just thought she was kind of like too much self-absorbed. I didn't understand her choices. The like forbidden love, at first I kind of liked it, but then it just didn't really make sense to me. I just felt like it was kind of forced. But the other characters I loved. So yeah, there you go. And then I also thought it was too much music talk, like intricate music producing details that I was not interested in. But I do think this is going to make a really good TV show, and I'm definitely going to watch it when it comes out. Okay, so the next question, this is one I think that Kayla added to the tag, and it is the most overhyped book of the year. So I don't have one like of the year, but I do have a book that I think was completely overhyped on BookTube, just kind of in general the past couple of years, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I can understand why people like this book. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars, but I think it's kind of overhyped. It's definitely like a romance fantasy, but like all about the romance, and I was kind of digging the romance, but then the ending just was just no. I did not like the ending. And this was kind of overhyped. Like, I thought the world and Strange, the character Laszlo Strange, were really, really interesting, but the romance just completely took over. And then the ending, something happens and I'm just like, where did this come from? And then it just ended. I did not like that, but yeah, I don't know. I just felt like, I don't even know how to explain my feelings on this book, but I definitely think it's a little bit overhyped. Okay, so the next one is the most expected book that you loved. Maybe that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Like, I thought I had a feeling that I was gonna like it, but then I kept seeing all these negative reviews and I was like, all right, maybe I'm actually not. Maybe I'm kind of crazy for thinking I'm gonna like it. But I actually really like this book. I thought it was really good. I thought that the like magical system in this world was super creative. Like, I loved it. I thought the main character, what's her name, like Alex or something like that? Yeah, Alex. I thought she was really interesting, and it was super dark, and I don't know, I think that the main thing I loved about it was the magical world and all the different societies and the powers that they come up with, and it was just very like academic. And yeah, I actually really liked it, and I can't wait for the second one. I think it's gonna be really good. Okay, the next one is the longest book that you read and the shortest book that you read. So according to Goodreads, the longest book that I read was Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. We already talked about how much I love this book. But the shortest book I read was Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan Mcguire. So I really enjoyed this book. I only gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I thought that the beginning spent way too much time trying to explain the world to me, and it kept repeating itself, and it got a little annoying. But I did end up liking it, and I really enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the world, but most of all, I enjoy Seanan Mcguire's writing. So I'm definitely gonna pick up more by her, and I definitely want to read the rest of the series for sure this year. Okay, the next book is Your Biggest Accomplishment, the book that I feel like was my biggest accomplishment. And again, that was Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin, because I've never read a high fantasy book ever, I don't think. This is like the most high fantasy adult book that I've ever read. So I was super proud of myself that I got through it and that I ended up loving it. All right, so the next one is Your Favorite Characters. So for sure, that one is Evelyn Hugo from The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think most people know what this is about. This book has a ton of love on BookTube. And yeah, I just thought she was an incredible woman. She's very self-determined, strong. She doesn't do anything that she doesn't want to do. She is very what's the word, she will do whatever it takes to get what she wants, but she will also do whatever it takes for the people that she loves. And I just thought she was amazing, and I loved her a lot. Okay, so the next one is a book that made you cry, and then a book that made you laugh. So for the book that made me cry, I don't really cry with books. I like get emotional, but I don't cry. But I think the book that made me the saddest after I read it was my reread of Harry Potter, because we all know the ending of this book, and yeah, it definitely broke my heart again and made me very, very sad for a few days after I finished it. But yeah, hopefully I'm definitely going to be rereading the 7th book again, because how this ended, like, no, even though like the 7th book, there's even more sad things that happen. But yeah. And then as for a book that made me cry, okay, so you guys are gonna be surprised, because I just said this book was my biggest disappointment, but that's Daisy Jones and the Six. There were a lot of times where I actually like laughed out loud. It was just so ridiculous. And the like banter between Daisy Jones and the other guy, what was the other guy's name? The other main character? Billy, that's right. Their like interactions were really funny, because they would just kind of like fight with each other, but it was just so ridiculous. Yeah, and then there was another character, I can't remember who it was, but there's another character, one of the guys, he would just like make these like comments and just kind of like making fun of everything, and I just thought it was hilarious. So there's that one. Okay, 2 more questions. So the next one is an underhyped book. So for that one, I'm going to go with Bunny by Mona Awad. I definitely feel like this book does not get enough love. I love this book. I think I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I have seen a couple of the bigger booktubers like talk about it. Like I saw Kayla talk about it. That's actually where I got this recommendation from. And then I saw Kat from Paperback Dreams, is that her channel? I like just discovered her, surprisingly. But yeah, she actually also loved this book, so hopefully more people will read it. But yeah, this is following a girl in an MFA writing program, and she like sees these group of girls who are also in her class, and they call each other Bunny, and they're like, she hates them. But then they invite her to this smut salon, and she kind of gets involved in their world, and I don't want to say anything else, but things get really, really weird and messed up, and I loved it. It kind of has like witchy vibes. I always say this is the perfect book for Halloween. I love this book. And then on top of that, Mona Awad's writing was incredible. Like, oh my gosh, so good. So I definitely think more people need to talk about this book and go and read it, but beware, because there's not a lot of explanation of the like magical things that go on, and there's also like body horror stuff, so just beware of that. But otherwise, go read it. Okay, and then the last question is a new fave author. And so again, I don't keep repeating books, but definitely Mona Awad is my new favorite author that I discovered this year. I just love her writing so much. It was beautiful, and she described things in a way where you could just picture everything, and she described it kind of like with like a dash of like whimsy. I don't know, I just freaking loved it, and I want to read every other book that she comes out with now. Like every book that she comes out with, I will probably pre-order and read, because it was just that good. So yes. All right guys, so that is my 2019 reading wrap up thing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I feel like I read a lot of great books this year. I think I didn't give any books less than 3 stars, so that's pretty good. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your favorite book of the year was and your least favorite book of the year was, and if you are going to read any of the books that I mentioned in this video. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye!